I got me the loaded hot chocolate. Welcome to CDT, day 41. What can I say? A hiker's gotta eat.
I haven't had biscuits and gravy at this trail.
What? Michigan originally, but moved to Durango. And we got a super quick hitch through one leg of the trail, the road back to the trail. And now we're waiting for the second leg, which appears to be much harder. There's not nearly as much traffic down through here. But Two Slices out there working her magic. And we are working our magic by sitting back in the bushes so that nobody can see us when they pull over. That's the strategy. Put the women out, put the men away, and then explain to them after they've already stopped and partially committed that there are men around. It works most of the time. Please keep the gate closed so you can keep the animals out. We got that second hitch back to where we needed to be on trail, which is at the campground, so the lake you just saw. And then it's time to continue north. Unfortunately, it took a really long time to get that hitch. We were waiting about 3 hours at that spot. So we're kind of behind, and it was kind of like mid-afternoon where we can't really make great progress on the day, and we can't really make it to our destination that we want to for today. So instead of just going to a random spot along the trail, putting in like 10 miles, calling it a day, and then having to camp in the snow and be cold and miserable, we decided to camp at a lower elevation, and which is right near where the trail starts. So didn't really get any trail miles in today, maybe a quarter mile. So today's a quarter mile day. Jacob and Two Slice just recently got a hitch to go back to Chama because they wanted to, since it's kind of still early in the day, we wanted to do something. So they wanted to go to town to get alcohol and stuff like that, which is all of our fault. We should have just gotten it before we left this morning, but we weren't really thinking about what our plan was going to be for the day and didn't really know that we were just going to sit around and do nothing because the hitches took so long. So they're out there right now. It could take them 2, maybe like 3 hours to get back at the earliest. So I got the place to myself for the next hour still because they got that hitch about an hour ago. And I set up camp. So since I have so much time, I kind of went a little elaborate with camp. I'll show you. So that is the fireplace I just made. This is slightly off trail. The trail is a little past the snow over there that you can see. The weather is perfect right now. Beautiful blue sunny skies, and feels like it's maybe in the like mid 50s, low 50s right now, so it's really nice. But anyways, I made this fire pit, so got a bunch of rocks and put them up and made a fireplace because I like fireplaces way more than fire pits, fire rings, because this way you can direct the heat and reflect it back towards the person, and that actually warms you up. With pits, you don't really get that. The only reason it would be good to have a pit is if you have a lot of people and you need to get them all the way around. But for a couple people, this is the way to do it. So I got a bunch of logs stacked up for burning later. And then I have a bunch of smaller like twigs and sticks and stuff for the starter. And then I have my tinder. So when it comes time to start the fire, I'm going to light up this stuff. It is called Old Man's Beard. It's a type of moss that grows on the branches of pine trees, usually. It can grow on other trees as well, but it lights up really fast, really easy, so it's really great to have. And then I will light that up with a lighter and then put these on top because these are small. This is kindling, so there's small twigs that I can use to burn, and then put on little stuff on top that's a bit thicker so that I can start creating some coals while letting the fire elevate through each level. Once I light this and it lights those and it lights those, then I get into these smaller ones. smaller logs, big twigs, and they will lay across the top, crisscross pattern. So I have some going this way and then some going this way on top, and they just build on top like a log cabin to give it tons of air so that air can circulate and keep that fire going. So that'll do that, and then once that's all done, I'll have a nice bed of coals, a solid foundation for this fire, and it'll be good to go. So then I can start lighting up the big stuff. It'll be hot enough to start lighting that stuff up, and those logs will burn a lot longer. So I throw a couple of those on top of the pile, and then it's just kind of sit back and relax, and it's good for cooking dinner, and it's hiker TV, and that's about it. So that's the fire. I also dragged over this big log, so now we have that as a bench to sit on, and plenty of extra firewood around this camping area, so that's good. I'm about to set up my tent right here, and I was just thinking the other day, I was telling you guys, once I have time, I'll show you kind of a time lapse of how I set up my camp, and I just realized that is today. I have time. Ooh, animal. Come on. Show. Run through. What was that? Oh, right behind me. You see that? Right there? Damn. I think it was a white-tailed deer. It looked more like an elk. And it was running right in front of me, so that was pretty cool. Oh, anyways, so yeah, I have time, so I can actually show you how I set up camp. So that'll do. So that's my tent setup. So getting the tent up, making sure it's on flat ground, making sure there's no widow makers above me, and then also make sure that's pretty dry. And if there's an event of rain, also making sure that the ground it's around isn't going to pool up or puddle. If it is, and it's still okay to set your tent there, just make some little trenches around it with a trowel, and that way it'll keep it from flooding in the middle of the night. Then just, throwing in the air mattress, then the inflatable pillow, my sleeping bag, and then the other stuff like my little electronics bag, my ditty bag, my food, and everything else that'll just be hanging out with me for the night. And then that chills there, and then I chill by the fireplace. So I am going to sit there. I have my ass pad to sit on for some comfort, and I will just wait for the young couple to return. Like I said, could be 45 minutes at the earliest, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at the latest if they have trouble getting hitches back like we did earlier. And then that's pretty much camp life. Set up, and then in the morning do it all the opposite direction. Break it down and head on your way after having some breakfast, and like I'm having dinner soon. So that's about it. It's not a long process. So that whole thing took me maybe 5 to 10 minutes, probably like in the middle, like 8 minutes, and that's not terrible. So even though I have to set up and break down my home every night, it's really not terribly involved, and that's pretty cool. So here's, excuse me, how I'm getting the fire started. Just had the old man's beard and some small twigs down below, and then once they started going, put in the smaller twigs up top, and just have them layered so that the fire can go up through and burn everything. And the more it goes, obviously, the higher it goes. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I had a lot of trouble getting this fire started. The old man's beard would burn right away, but it would go out right away as well. So I couldn't catch any of the twigs for the past like 10 minutes. So I had to cheat and use my fuel canister with the stove. So unfortunately, I did not film my shame. But got to do it just to get the fire going. I don't know what happened. Everything seemed like it's dry, but just nothing would catch at all. So sometimes it makes me wonder how wildfires start when I can't even start my own fire intentionally. And now just add a bunch more sticks and stuff on and watch this thing rage. So I added some sticks lengthwise over to the right side of the fire and a bunch of extra wood over here. So now it's slowly moving its way over, and it's gonna fill this entire area with just massive flames. And then eventually it'll make a big bed of coals and calm down, and I can finish up with these and then throw the logs on. It'll be just a nice calm fire that'll be actually really warm. Alright, the fire's a bit more contained and under control now. A bed of coals is forming, and you don't have these giant flames shooting like 6 feet in the air. So now it's just starting to be like a really solid warm fire, and it'll slow down even more as it goes, and I just keep piling on some logs and stuff and to keep it going. But right now it's about 8:30 p.m. So the sun is set, so we're just getting some ambient light now. I don't see or hear any vehicles coming down the highway, which means that nobody is really available to give a hitch to Jacob and Two Slice. So they're either in town in Chama and didn't bother to come out, which is one thing that they discussed, or they hitched halfway to the junction and they didn't find another hitch and they might be stuck on the road for the night. Either way, there's a possibility that they come to me soon. For now, I don't see it happening. Alright, here's a look at the end of my fire. Just had some dying coals left over and my pot's in there to warm up some water so that I can have a warm water bottle in my bed. It's about 10 after 9 p.m. right now, and Jacob and Two Slice still haven't shown up, so I'm guessing that they're probably just staying in Chama. And I might end up seeing them tomorrow morning or at some point in the next couple days when I get through to Colorado and then come back to Chama. We'll bump into each other. They know my schedule, and I know some of the ideas they were throwing around, so we'll be able to find each other at some point. And I always leave little markers with like little J's and stuff to show them where I've been so that they know if they happen to be behind me. But anyways, that's the end of day 41. I apologize for having another day without any actual walking on the trail, but I hope I excuse myself by showing you some actual camp life. I didn't have any dinner tonight. I'm not that hungry, and I didn't do any work today, so I figured that's fine. Tomorrow, I am walking to probably a campsite about 20 miles away, but I'll tell you about it tomorrow morning. For now, all you need to know is that I'll be probably above 10,000 feet, closer to 11,000 feet almost all day, so there might be some snow to snowshoe through. But I might have some pictures from today, and let me know what you think of it, and have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.